Harry Potter is one of my favorite film series of all time. Sure, I've read the books, but it's the films I know forward and backward. It came at a perfect time when I was 6 years old, and I grew up with the series like a lot of people in my generation. It's a series that defined us and millions of other people, and each generation, with the constant broadcasts on TV, will watch these films and fall in love with them. These films really mean a lot to me, so I have to say, I was quite happy to see a new film would be coming out that would allow us the chance to revisit the Wizarding World again. With this new movie, a new book called The Cursed Child, and the 20th anniversary coming next year, it's a pretty good time to be a Harry Potter fan. I was happy when this film was going to be its own thing and not delve into characters from the previous installments. The Wizarding World is huge and we need to take a chance to explore it. Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander would not have been my first choice because, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he actually did a great job. Maybe he overdid the awkwardness a touch, but overall, it worked really well. The best character was an unrecognizable Dan Fogler, bringing the right amount of humor and charm to this film. The movie even opens up with the traditional Warner Brothers logo flying at the audience. It was then that I knew I was going to be taken back. The story overall is really good. It has a lot of political workings of the Wizarding World, which might bore some people, but I found that it was mostly subtle and really interesting. You find out how the Wizarding World actually works, especially in the time period. J.K. Rowling wrote the screenplay, so of course you're in for a big, interesting story, but the problem is that she has written books which can be used to go hundreds of pages and expand on every detail. In a film like this, you need to cut things down. I do realize that there's more sequels on the way, and don't worry, the movie doesn't have tons of setup for the sequels, it's its own thing. But it just has so much going on that you start to get lost and maybe even bored. That's how I felt anyway, but you gotta give mad props for the story. Ezra Miller is in the film, which for some reason I didn't know before seeing it. I guess I just didn't look up the cast and see that his name was listed. I thought he was the lowest point in the film, not only for how he was acting, which he's usually great, but this particular character wasn't suited for him. Or it could have been that he was too old to be playing such a character. I know the film needs to have a character be a certain age, but Ezra Miller looks like he's in his late 20s, when I feel that the character could have been an 18 or 17-year-old. The creatures are cool, they're kind of the highlight of the movie, seeing all the designs and different things they can do. This really had a similar tone to the past Harry Potter films, even the same kind of score that alludes to the past entries. But I feel that the final act is where everything goes downhill. Harry Potter is known for having final acts where it takes both intelligence and bravery to endure. Fighting the Dementors in Prisoner of Azkaban, fighting a snake, and defeating Voldemort numerous times. The films never got bombastic. They were well contained, yet personal. The endings weren't some Transformers explosions everywhere type deal, but this film kinda goes that route. It's disappointing to say the least, I suppose because we've seen it done so many times before in many other films, and even here it's done quite bad. Sure, everything after the climax wraps up really nicely, but I can't get past that giant black puff of smoke that's destroying the city. It wasn't that exciting. Other than that though, the film is pretty good, and Potter fans will enjoy it, as well as some newcomers. It's definitely not as magical as the past films, but the story is engaging enough to ignore some of the dumber moments in the film. So, I give it a solid 6 out of 10.